dropping. Feel the hum in your hands. This is 4D. Heat on my palms, grip locked, heart racing. Shoes hit the pedal, whole room shaking. Jersey on my back, hair pulled low and blazing. Every turn I take, got the ghosts I'm chasing. 4D in my veins, feel that fire when I play, when I move, when I break, when I bang through the lanes. 4D on my skin, when I lose, when I win, I'm alive in the light of the game I'm in. 4D, 4D, 4D. It's different. Yeah, that's winning. Stamped on the wheel like a crest. I don't just play, I live it. Every stitch says get it. From the couch to the checkered, I'm the storm when I wear it. 4D in my veins. Different. It's different. Yeah. 4D racewear. Let them feel you drive.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Iowa Speedway. It's Murph, it's Andrew Wood, and we have the Area 51 IndyCar Series tonight from one of America's greatest bull rings. Andrew, it's the improper version. It's got the patches of asphalt at the bottom of the corners, but it's still Iowa nonetheless, my friends.
Yeah, Murph, good to be here. I missed last week. I missed the one road course of the season, which is a shame because I love calling those road races, but here we are at Iowa. We got the cars on the nice short oval here, and yes, you're right. It's a different kind of Iowa. It is definitely a little bit trickier than the ones that we're used to seeing, and these guys are going to put on a show for us tonight. I'm very much looking forward to it.
You know, they most certainly will. The track, as you can see, you've really got those dark patches in the corners. You want to stay on those, so the track has gone from 3 or 4 lanes wide to down to 2. And there is a lack of grip, which has become iRacing IndyCar community meme worthy with your team, Andrew. You don't, especially on the start, you got to be careful with the transition from that dark asphalt to the older surface.
It definitely gets a little bit less grip once you get onto that older surface. And yeah, the transition, even when we talk about pit lane entries and moving from a pit lane that is one surface to the pit box itself where it's a different one, Indianapolis is actually a great example of that. It is really, really tricky to transition there, and you have to find the grip when it's most grippy and avoid it when it's less grippy, obviously. And depending on what the temperature is out on the track, it can really differ.
You do indeed. We'll watch Gary Lovern qualify here. The facts that you need to know about the Iowa Speedway: it's 7/8 of a mile, 0.875 to be exact, around. It was opened in 2006, and it's been really a staple on the IndyCar calendar ever since. They're not, I don't believe they're going there this year, but Iowa has been around in the series forever. I can see Gary Lovern running around there on the bottom. That is the preferred line, but you really, really got to be careful of your tires here. The track record, 17.4908, set by Ryan Briscoe in a Dallara IR04 in 2008. Right now, we have a lap that would be better than the track record. 2 of them, as a matter of fact. Both of our current front row members are under the existing track record, so it's going to be fast, Andrew.
Whenever you set a track record, it definitely adds another level of speed here. And maybe the track conditions are in such a way that the cars are just unpredictably faster than what we'd really expect here. So I think we do see, as usual, a shaken up grid here. We never really know who's going to be the fastest hot lapper in this series. So we're going to have to see how this plays out here.
Speaking of those track conditions, right now 83 on the track, or 83 in the air, 119 on the track. Wind, well, it's a breath out of the southwest, about 10 miles an hour, partly cloudy. This track, though, is noted on this surface for when it gets hot to becoming very, very slick, as you watch Nicholas Stockner take to the track for his qualifying run, first lap, 16th quick. It's noted for getting very slick, and this place also has lights, and so you know, a lot of leagues prefer, as Stockner spins it coming off turn number 4, a lot of leagues here, Andrew, they prefer kind of a late afternoon transitioning into the evening kind of a deal. So we'll see what's in store for the Area 51 boys tonight. Do want to thank everybody for tuning it in. If you haven't already done it, make sure you hit the like button on the video, ring the bell, subscribe to P1. You too can get on all the iRacing fun. Do want to give a nod to everybody who watched the Pocono Indy fixed oval top split from earlier. That was won by one of your teammates, Mr. Wood. Malechka, Blocker, and Oster, I believe, locked out the podium.
A good showing from the Power Slide teammates, which is something that we would expect here.
Indeed it was. We are getting ready to get on to the starting grid. And on that starting grid, we've got a familiar face up at the front, Kyle Clinworth, 182.924 miles an hour. Both he and Larry Yingling bettered the previous track record here to sit on the front row. Row 2, points leader Ryan Kelly. Jeff Heisong will flank him. Frank Irwin Jr., Wayne Campbell. Row 3, Chris Stover, Richie Hearn. Row 4, a pair of veterans and an IndyCar real-life winner make up row 4. Matty Wagner and A.J. Hobson, they're going to go from row number 5. Starting 11th is Gary Lovern. In 12th, we'll have Eric Peterson. Craig Forsyth will go from 13th. He'll be joined by team owner Jim Herrick in 14th. Brian Greenlee, Nicholas Stockner will roll from 15th and 16th. The grid is filled out by Joseph Morales, Gael Brooks, and Kurt Rose. Those 3 cars did not take time, Andrew, and they'll start shotgun on the field. Kurt Rose in the DoorDash machine goes from last, and that's the paint scheme that I have not yet seen in an IndyCar. So neat for that.
Yeah, we have some disappointing qualifying runs here. Matt Wagner's not going to be very excited with 9th place there. I know he's typically loving these short ovals, so he's going to have to do some work from farther down the grid. Expect him to move forward, and as well as Craig Forsyth down there in 13th. I'm surprised to see Craig down there so far. He's definitely going to want to pick up some spots there, but he's had a little bit of a rough season for the races that he's attended. Those are 2 drivers right there we want to watch to see if they move forward.
We do indeed. Do want to point out we are on 75% fuel, so we're going to see fuel runs at 50 laps. If you do the math, Andrew, that leaves 10 laps that you got to find in order to make this on a two-stop deal. And you've got Craig Forsyth out there, who, as we've noted, is highly skilled at running fast while getting the same gas mileage as a Volkswagen Beetle. It would not surprise me if he was able to cut a pit stop if this thing stayed green and roll that Forsyth painted machine into victory lane. We get down to it. It's just about time to start having some fun, Andrew.
Yeah, definitely. And some of these drivers are hoping for a nice long green flag run. We had one. The road course last week didn't have a caution at all. But that was a road course, and it's a little bit different in those circumstances. But let's see if we can carry that momentum forward and have a caution-free oval race.
Yeah, absolutely. And those races are the most fun. They can be some of the most tactical races that you will witness. If anybody asks about tires here, Andrew, the answer is going to be yes. This place is noted for burning its tires. It's among some of the highest lateral and vertical G-loading that you'll get, and it tends to shred both corners on the right side as you move through the Iowa Speedway here.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be more of a tire situation for the pits rather than the fuel, which is something we don't typically see here. Once the tires start to fall off, it's going to be imperative that drivers come in. But once you pit, you do lose that extra lap there. So if you pit and you get caught by a caution, your race is pretty much done. So it'll be interesting to see what strategy these drivers employ today.
Do want to welcome Tom Swansky to the chat. Barney's got the green flag in the air. We are underway at Area 51 at Iowa, and already huge trouble in the back of the field. Eric Peterson is around. Richie Hearn with a black flag. We are already under the yellow light, Andrew.
Absolute chaos on the start. I actually have done this before at Iowa Speedway. Had the start there and lost control and took out, it was, I believe, it was one of the Sadie cars, and that was back in before COVID days, and I felt so horrible about that. And looks like that has gone wrong here again. And unfortunately, some drivers are now having to take the fast repair.
And we've discovered what happened here. Look at row 3. That's Frank Irwin Jr., Wayne Campbell. Jeff Heisong broke loose in front of him, but those two on row 3 did synchronized spinning right where we said there's an issue with traction. Eric Peterson, nowhere to go. He ramps over Wayne Campbell. Nicholas Stockner into the back of Campbell. Gael Brooks just stopped in the back of the field, and that's going to pay dividends for him. Let's get back and have a look from the onboard of Eric Peterson and see what Mr. Peterson sees. Watch the just 2 rows in front of him, 3 rows in front of him. Those 2 cars spin. That's right where the meme occurred. They get sideways. Up and over Wayne Campbell goes Eric Peterson. He didn't even make it to the start-finish line. We're going to go back and have a look at it from Nicholas Stockner. Stockner has not yet pitted, and so maybe Nicholas Stockner is thinking he might get away with this. There you see Peterson. He didn't get it upside down. That's hard contact for Stockner. He's going to definitely need to pit that car. He may not require a fast repair. It could just be a new nose cone on his machine. Peterson already back out onto the race course. Stockner is headed into the pit lane for a new nose. Critical for Eric Peterson, he did not lose a lap. Wayne Campbell was forced to tow, and so Peterson is going to be able to affect the fast repair, Andrew, and get back out. But a tough break for Wayne Campbell. He, Frank Irwin Jr., and Gael Brooks all already a lap down.
Yeah, you called that one perfectly there, Murph. You called the transition going from the newly paved surface to the concrete old surface there, and unfortunately it caught some guys out, and it was actually kind of at an interesting spot because both Frank Irwin and Wayne Campbell got over the newly paved surface there and then spun the tires. So yeah, it's just a matter of getting caught out there and trying to make sure that the car is going to be good enough on the rears to start the race, and unfortunately the rears gave out on them, both of them. And it's always tough when one driver does it, but when 2 drivers do it, it basically blocks the whole track. So it was good for those guys at the back to avoid it just by stopping pretty much, but unfortunately now they've brought themselves to a point where they're a lap down.
They have, and here's the thing with that, Andrew, and that's right at the point where the car starts to unload off the corner. And unfortunately, when they did the repaving, they did not extend that new pavement to that spot. That's also where the restart zone is for the stock cars. Now, we don't use that in Indy cars, but it's where the restart zone is. And to be completely fair, it's one of those deals where it's very, very, very difficult to put the power down right in that spot.
Green flag.
Kyle Clinworth has the power down. He started very quickly on the restart and try to, one, I think he wanted to start on that black surface. It's a lot more grippy. But two, he caught everybody from Ryan Kelly back napping.
Yeah, definitely a cleaner start, but I think there was a little more trepidation from some of those drivers around the bottom part of the top 10 there to try and make sure that they started properly. And it has broken up the field quite a bit here. And on this short oval, that's not, you don't want to be 7 to 9 seconds behind the leader at the green flag. So it's going to be interesting to see if some of these drivers find a way to catch back up again and not fall victim to falling farther back in the field and go a lap down.
You're looking at Matty Wagner. He's trailing Richie Hearn, and he's got A.J. Hobson in hot pursuit. Wagner is one of the few guys right now, Andrew, that is running that top line, and he is off that black surface for a good portion of the lap, or right up against it. We'll see how that fares for him. Traditionally here, Andrew, if you run the high side, it can be a little bit quicker at the expense of basically burning the right front off very, very quickly.
And you can already see that Wagner has dropped back a little bit. And because he's running that middle lane, that bottom lane is free, clean air for the drivers behind. So he may opt to take that bottom line later on in the run here to prevent any sort of runs from the drivers behind. You see A.J. Hobson. I guess A.J. Hobson is behind him.
Yeah,
and is trying his best to just get right underneath and find a way to close up on that number 6 car.
Yeah, we're going to ride on the roll bar of A.J. Hobson as he tries to track down Matty Wagner in front of him. You'll see the telemetry on the left-hand side of your screen, about 187 miles an hour down into turn 1. Hobson all the way down at the bottom. Wags on the top. He'll squirt away down the straightaway. And now Wagner is going to score the bottom going through 3 and 4. Hobson forced to take lane 2, and that's going to mean he's going to close in right on the back of Wagner. Can he make the move into turn 1? He does not. They continue as is through turn 1 and 2, Andrew.
Yeah, and right ahead of them, Richie Hearn and Jeff Hysong are battling each other quite well. AJ has now just cleared ahead of Matt Wagner out of turn 4, and Wagner's coming back on the inside. Now Wagner's going to try and hug that white line around the bottom there. But, yeah, Hearn has grabbed that P5, I believe it is, from Jeff Hysong.
Well, and here's he did, and now Matt Wagner, he tried to come back on A.J. Hobson, wasn't able to do it, and Gary Lovern is now going to take his shot at the track rocket machine. And right behind them, you can see the blue and white car. That is Craig Forsyth. You mentioned Forsyth did not have a very good qualifying run. He started pretty deep in the field. Craig Forsyth already up to the 10th spot, so he's making ground here, Andrew, in the early going.
Yes, and of course, some of that had to do with the misfortunes of row 3 there that spun out on the start. So he grabbed 2 free spots there, possibly another spot or 2 just from the chaos that ensued around him. But yes, Craig is running a solid P10 right now, and hopefully going for a little bit more. But just based on the fact that he's hanging back from the cars ahead of him is showing that the tire and fuel savings already coming into play in that number 99.
It is. I'll tell you who's not saving tires. Chris Stouffer in that number 13 machine. He is all over the back of Ryan Kelly, and they have been caught by Richie Hearn, who after disposing of Matt Wagner has also gotten through Jeff Hysong, and those 3 are contesting the 3rd spot. Kyle Clinworth leads it. Larry Yingling is second. He's about 3 or 4 car lengths behind Clinworth. Hearn going to drop to the inside of teammate Stouffer down the front straight, and he is going to move that 40 Raceware machine into the 4th spot.
Man, it's like Chris Stouffer basically just let him have that middle line there, which gave such a great run off of turn 4 and dipped right inside of turn 1. There was a very, very nicely done setup and pass there going into turn 1 for Richie Hearn.
Indeed, good work for Richie Hearn. Moves himself into the 4th spot, and I believe he is quite a bit faster than Ryan Kelly as well. Let's hop on board Richie Hearn. You can look at the left out of the left eyeball of the 1996 IndyCar Las Vegas winner, Richie Hearn, as he follows Ryan Kelly. Do want to thank everybody for tuning in. If you haven't already done it, make sure you hit the like button on the video, ring the bell, subscribe to P1 so that you can get in on all of the iRacing fun. They had a barn burner for a IndyCar fixed oval top split earlier on the channel, Andrew, your Power Slide teammates locked out the podium, led home by Robert Malechka. We've got the Indy Next Series from Oswego. Now, that seems like it would be fun to watch. Jacob Collins, Sophia Connell will have that one for you. And then we are the final race of the evening here on P1 with Area 51. We ought to call it Area 51 after dark, Andrew.
Yeah, of course, we're getting late into the night now, so this is Matt Wagner is spinning down the front straightaway, and he takes down the inside barrier there. I was just watching to see what kind of lines he was taking, and all of a sudden that car broke free out of the exit of turn 4 there, and Wagner's day is done.
Yeah, we're gonna back this replay up just a little bit so you can track it. Remember, we talked about Wagner was running that much higher line, and that would hurt your right front. Well, one of the ways that you compensate for that, you die a little bit more weight jacker, a little bit more rear bar into the car, and unfortunately, that has the effect of turning you loose on corner exit. And Wagner just clouts that inside wall, and he is already back on the pit lane and out of this race. There's Larry Yingling. He is following this man. Kyle Clinworth continues to lead it. He has led since the drop of the green flag. There's your battle for the lead. Ryan Kelly, Richie Hearn, Chris Stouffer in positions 3, 4, and 5. Jeff Hysong is under fire from A.J. Hobson. They're battling for the 6th spot. Hysong has it. Hobson wants it. Get a little bit further back. Gary Lovern is 8th. Craig Forsyth has now been promoted to 9th. And you kind of called it. How long would it take Craig Forsyth to move forward? He's up 4 spots, so we'll continue to monitor his progress. Brian Greenlee. Good run for Greenlee there. He is in 10th. Eric Peterson has survived his fast repair. Stayed on the lead lap after the pre-race incident, so he runs 11th. Jim Herrick is 12th. There's the 4D Racewear Impresario. Kurt Rose, 13th. Joseph Morales is 14th. And those are your lead lap machines. But this battle for third is about ready to get started in earnest. Ryan Kelly is catching Clinworth and Yingling, and he is being caught by Richie Hearn. And Richie Hearn looking to the outside. He wants that 3rd spot, Andrew.
Yes, Richie Hearn definitely wants that 3rd spot, but I'm keeping my eye on A.J. Hobson, who's really, really moving through the pack. He really battled Jeff Hysong quite nicely a couple laps ago as you were going through the field there. Got underneath him. Gary Lovern is now working on Hysong. And A.J. Hobson has managed to find some really, really good speed, similar to what Richie Hearn did earlier on in the race. So Hobson's going to be moving his way forward. And I imagine he's taking the same lines as Richie Hearn, and watch what he was doing when he was passing all his cars and making that pace all by himself. So tires are not so much of a worry on A.J. Hobson or Richie Hearn at the moment. Well,
it could be that it's not that they're going faster. It's just that everybody else is going slower, to quote the movie, Andrew. The last time through, Kyle Clinworth in the lead, 18.9 flat. A.J. Hobson, 18.723. Richie Hearn was the fastest car on the speedway the last time through, 18.729, and he continues to be all over the back of Ryan Kelly, who has also now caught Larry Yingling. Say that 3 times fast, Andrew Wood. Say it 3 times fast.
Yeah, I'm not doing that. Sorry. It looks like Richie Hearn, you're right, has really – it's all a matter of trying to find that clean air, right, Murph? We want to do our best to try and seek out the clean air, find it, and then pounce. And it seems like every single time Richie Hearn turns onto both sides of the track, he has found the clean air and has chosen correctly. And now he's right up on the back of Ryan Kelly, going for that 3rd spot. And as you see again, just gets to the bottom of the track very, very nicely. So that car is working just exactly how Richie Hearn wants it to work. And maybe that time he got a little bit of that dirty air, but that just brings him closer to Larry Yingling. I said it 3 times fast for you. And Kyle Clinworth has begun to streak out just a little bit.
Yeah, this does 2 things right here for Ryan Kelly as he's on the back of Larry Yingling. But when you pressure a car like that, it does two things. The first is you're forcing the guy to kind of watch his mirrors because dirty air here is very powerful. And as we watch Ryan Kelly drop below Larry Yingling, so move Ryan Kelly to second, and now Yingling is going to have to deal with Richie Hearn. The other thing it does is you might be forcing that driver to go harder than he wants. And I think that's what Richie Hearn was doing to Ryan Kelly. Ultimately, Kelly gets through Yingling, but now Richie Hearn will make that pass too. Larry Yingling loses 2 spots in 3 laps, and he's going to drop to 4th here, Andrew.
Yeah, still a great showing from Larry Yingling so far. He qualified quite well. He's running up front, and on these short ovals, the qualifying means everything, as we've seen many, many times in this league. And it's still going to be a great day, despite the fact that Yingling dropped a couple of spots here. Chris Stouffer has managed to just kind of stall out right behind him, so I don't really think Yingling is going to lose another spot anytime soon. And Hobson, the same sort of thing. Hobson's just trying to pick correctly right now, pick that clean air, and try and find his way a little bit closer to Stouffer. But, Hobson actually gets below the white line at a turn 3 and 4 there, and car seems to have stabilized nicely, but that was pretty close.
Well, we hop on board Chris Stouffer because he and A.J. Hobson are rapidly catching Larry Yingling. Richie Hearn has kind of driven off in the distance, and also want to point out that Kyle Clinworth and Ryan Kelly, Richie Hearn have all 3 picked up the pace. Last time through, Clindy 18.557, Ryan Kelly 18.759, Hearn 18.776. They have really started to stretch their legs as we get to the end of this fuel run. We think about 50 laps is what they can do. If you can get it to lap 53, 54, you're right in that window where you can cut a stop. That early caution is definitely going to help them in that endeavor. But given that they've picked up the pace, Andrew, it would seem to me that they're either not worried about fuel because they know they've saved enough, or they're not worried about fuel because they know they're going to run out.
The way that it sits right now, I think these cars are setting up for some green flag pit stops coming up here in roughly 10 to 15 laps or so. Further down the field, looks like Nicholas Stockner is in a really, really heated battle with Eric Peterson. Stockner, of course, collected in that first lap or opening lap melee, as well as Eric Peterson. So both of those drivers are on the back foot right now, but we haven't seen Clinworth catch the back of the field quite yet, and that may sort of dictate when we start seeing these stops here. And some of these drivers, such as Stockner and Peterson, down at the bottom of the field here, do not want to go a lap down.
No, they don't. Now, Eric Peterson did maintain his position on the lead lap after that incident. Stockner collected a second meatball, so he was forced to go to the pit lane about 25 laps ago and affect his fast repair. He is 5 laps off the pace in 18th. Matty Wagner has ejected from the session, and so he is no longer running. Wags got in the chat. He said he hit the hybrid too early off the corner, and that's what turned him loose. So a tough break for Matty Wagner. As we near lap 50, do want to take the opportunity to remember Jim Brooks. Jim Brooks, a founding member of the Area 51 community. He is one of only 3 drivers ever to complete the Around the World Challenge in the series, which is all 3 cars on every track. Yellow is out, but we'd like to take a moment to remember Jim Brooks, who passed away recently, and we're thinking of him and his family as the caution is on the speedway for Ryan Kelly.
Actually, there, Murph, it was Nicholas Stockner who brought the yellow out. Didn't hit anything, which is actually pretty remarkable as well. And yes, of course, Jim Brooks is a great member of the Area 51 team. He is the founder, and I've had the opportunity to race him several times, have memories of racing Jim Brooks in several times in this league back in the day. And he is definitely sorely missed, and we really do think deeply about his family and friends and everyone that was very close to him. And I know everybody in this league had a great respect for Jim. So it's great to see that this league is racing in memory of him.
You know, we had dueling incidents there. I thought it was Ryan Kelly And Kelly is on the pit lane with the meatball, as are the rest of the lead lap cars. You saw the spin first for Ryan Kelly, and then you saw it from Nicholas Stockner. Stockner didn't hit anything. He's going to stay out and collect one of his laps back, as is Frank Irwin Jr., who's going to have the lucky dog. You see him going high, but Stockner, he'll get the wave around. He's been out 28 laps on his tires. Do want to thank 40 Racewear for their support of the series. Sim Racing shoes, gloves, apparel, hats, championship rings, 40racewear.com. Jim Herrick gets you taken care of. We also want to thank everybody for tuning it in. If you haven't already done it, make sure you hit the like button on the video, ring the bell, subscribe to the channel so that you can get in on all of the iRacing fun. You are watching the Area 51 IndyCar Series on P1. We are under caution, lap 52 of 160. And Andrew, this really kind of helps that situation with making the fuel number, doesn't it?
Yes, it absolutely does. But again, we were talking about earlier on in the race that this track is more dictated by the tire wear. But at the same time, we did see the drivers going almost all the way through the fuel tank before taking their pit stop there. So you're right. It's possible that we could be going into a fuel safe situation. But I imagine that these drivers are not going to be want to sit on old tires at all here. So we'll have to see if that fuel save comes into play, or if they lose just a little bit too much time on older tires trying to save that fuel.
They all came to pit road with the exception of Stockner, who takes the wave around. He's going to go back to 4 laps down. Frank Irwin Jr. got the lucky dog, and Frank has made his pit stop. He's put on 4 fresh Firestone Firehawks, and he is back onto the speedway. Irwin is going to be classified in the 15th spot. Kyle Brooks will move into the lucky dog, and that was kind of an odd caution in that you had dueling spins, Andrew. 2 completely separate incidents, 2 very different portions of the track. And that probably helped out Ryan Kelly, because if Stockner was the cause of the caution, Kelly spun his car out to the inside of the speedway, much like Matty Wagner. He did not bring out the yellow, and so that really saved Ryan Kelly. He's going to drop back to 11th, but he was able to come in under the yellow light and get his fast repair. Otherwise, he might have been in pretty deep trouble.
We see that Kyle Clemworth is letting the pace car go, and we're probably going to have another long pace start here. Hopefully everyone gets going nicely, but I do notice that Richie Hearn now is in second spot, and we saw that he was on the move before. AJ Hobson, another driver in the top 5 right now that was on the move before, so we possibly could see a chance for Richie Hearn really to take the fight to Clemworth for the lead.
We could indeed. Barney's got the green flag in hand. Clindy goes early one more time. We are back underway at Iowa, lap 55 of 160 as the field streams through turns 1 and 2. Hobson gets the jump on Christopher, dives to the bottom of the speedway, but he can't quite get it done, Andrew.
I think that these cold tires, you really have to pounce early as you can, but Hobson was not able to get that pass completed, so he's going to work hard to try and get that spot back now. And you got to make hay when the sun is shining, Murph. I know that's something you live by on these fresh tires as well.
Yeah, I mean, anytime there's fresh tires, cold tires, that is the best time to pounce, because other drivers may not be as secure. There's a guy that is secure. Craig Forsyth drops to the bottom of Gary Lovern coming off of turn number 4, but he can't quite get the move done. Going down the front, Craig Forsyth will drop in behind Gary Lovern. Meanwhile, Brian Greenlee having all kinds of problems. He's a lead lap car. He's got Peterson behind him. Peterson in 10th, Greenlee in 9th. They are not able to get past Wayne Campbell, and finally they're able to do so. Campbell's going to drop to the bottom and let those 2 cars go, but that could have been a hairy situation with a lap car. Meanwhile, Lovern has shaken off his cold tires. He's got some heat nose babies, and he's going after Jeff Heisong for 6th.
Yeah, Gary did a pretty masterful job there, just maintaining the middle of the track, and Forsyth couldn't really decide if he wanted to try the high side, which was a lot more risky, but probably a little bit more benefit if he had done that to get on the outside of Lovern. But at the same time, he can't really touch the white line on the bottom either. So Lovern really did a great defensive job there, probably without him even knowing it, given the fact that Forsyth really had no place to really throw his car down the inside to make the move. But you're right, Heisong is at a point right now that he has to play such defense that both of the cars behind him are hungry to move forward.
Indeed, indeed. There's Forsyth. Man, poor Craig, and he smacked the wall a little bit coming off of turn 2. He had a huge run going down to the bottom, had to back out of it, crossed through the wake of Gary Lovern, and wound up getting into the wall on the exit of turn number 2. So Forsyth continues on, but he's put some white paint on the side of his Firestones. This is the best battle on the racetrack. It is 6th, 7th, and 8th as Lovern makes the dive on Hysong one more time, Andrew.
It seems that Jeff has definitely decided to take more of that Richie Hearn strategy and just run that second and a half lane there. He has to, mostly because Hobson's up ahead of him and unable to really choose lane also. And if you're not able to make that move happen, you just got to kind of maintain your position there. And Gary chose wrong there, and here comes Craig.
Yeah, Gary Lovern chose wrong. Craig, I wanted to say Gary Forsyth. Craig Forsyth, and now they get together a little bit. You saw the wing pop up for Gary Lovern. He is forgiven, but Craig Forsyth makes the move. He'll get through in the 7th. Hysong is now catching A.J. Hobson, but tell you who's catching who. Richie Hearn is pulling in ever so slightly. Yellow light. It is Gael Brooks, I believe, and Nicholas Stockner. Stockner with a meatball one more time. This would be the 3rd incident he's been involved in this evening in 66 laps. We're looking at Stockner. He's got the meatball, and he's already on pit lane. Looks like he just tapped the wall with his right rear going down the front straight, and it shot him into the inside fence down at turn 1. Backs it in, and there's Gael Brooks. I was looking at the timing and scoring, and he was slow. Stockner disconnects. Brooks had a reason to be slow though, Andrew, because he misses that wreck. He gets the lucky dog. He'll be back on the lead lap.
Yeah, I find that incident with Stockner a bit bizarre. He was kind of, as we know, the front straightaway is not necessarily straight. So you have to kind of hang the wheel left a little bit. And I think Stockner might have just quickly probably glanced at a piece of telemetry or something else on the car and bounced up against the wall. But still, the way the car reacted there was definitely not something that you typically see. So that I would call that one a little bit of a bizarre incident, Murphy.
Yeah, that was definitely an interesting thing. Normally, in iRacing, we talk about the wall glue. Here, it shot him across the track, which is actually probably a little bit more of a natural reaction than you would have than we normally get in the sim. Meanwhile, we've got some split pit strategies, Andrew Wood. Clinworth, Hearn, Yingling, Stouffer, Hobson, and Kelly stay out. Jeff Hysong, Craig Forsyth, Gary Lovern, Brian Greenlee, Eric Peterson, Kurt Rose, Joseph Morales, Jim Herrick, Frank Irwin Jr., they all came to the pit lane. And I would surmise that Gael Brooks, now that he's got the lucky dog, is going to come down pit lane too. He's got to go to the back anyway. Why not? So the top 6 stayed out. Everybody else has now come to the pit lane.
This is what we live for, Murph. We like these split strategies. You were mentioning before how this was a fuel save race. Well, this caution definitely helps solidify the fact that these top 6 are probably going to make it a little bit easier on fuel with just one more stop, but they have to fend off all these new tire drivers that are behind. So will these new tire drivers really move their way forward, or will the fuel savers be able to hold them off and still do that one final pit stop? But also keep in mind that because those drivers pitted, they will have less time in the box on their final stop, which everyone still needs one here at this point. So I think coming in for tires was the right strategy in this case, just adding those two things together. But we've seen weirder things happen in this series, and I'm excited to see if this strategy pays off. So we'll have to keep an eye on Jeff in particular, as he's the first car out of the pits on the new tires.
He is indeed. Do want to thank the series sponsor, 40 Racewear, for all they do for the IndyCar community. Sim racing gloves, hats, shoes, apparel, championship rings at 40racewear.com. Also want to thank everybody for tuning it in. If you haven't already done it, Make sure you hit the like button on the video, ring the bell, subscribe to P1 so that you too can get in on all of the iRacing fun. Speaking of iRacing fun, I just checked in on the Indy next broadcast. It would seem that Adam Blocker didn't have enough fun today at Pocono. He's running at Oswego. He's in second. He's in second place in the Indy next race right now. There, Andrew.
So we still have an Indy next broadcast happening, eh?
Yeah, so they've got 10 to go at Oswego. Wolzelinski leads at Blocker second, Logan Edwards third, Indy Kirchenbauer fourth. As we get back to green here at Iowa, Kyle Clinworth leads it away. Richie Hearn is second, Larry Yingling third, and Chris Stouffer is fourth. And Stouffer looking pretty racy here coming out of that restart.
Absolutely. Stouffer had a great restart there. Going to be coming right up to the back of Yingling here. I think Stouffer's going to throw it up the inside, but Yingling comes down a little bit. Stouffer stayed committed, but it's really hard to get pinned down on that white line out of turn one. Stouffer has to back up a little bit.
It is very difficult if you get pinned. And now if Stouffer lost the momentum, A.J. Hobson is going to pull right to the back of that number 13. And Hobson, he'd like to move into the fourth spot. Stouffer up and about lane 1.5, and that gives Hobson the clean air on the bottom. It's one of those situations, Andrew, where, you talk about racing side by side here. If you're on that top line, and I would reference the Race Spot 230 race that happened a few years ago. If you want to go back and look at that, Chris Demerit and I ran me on the top, him on the bottom for about 50 laps like that. If you can pin a guy on the bottom, and you're on the top, you can really make his life pretty doggone miserable. And really kind of hold him at bay, and that's what Larry Yingling did. Yingling maintains the third spot. Hearn is second. There's Richie. Kyle Clinworth continues to lead at New Tires. They're still in seventh spot.
I was just watching that, and I was going to give you a little bit of an update. You got to start moving now, and of course the drivers that didn't pit are going to have a slight advantage at the start simply because they have less fuel and are able to take off a little bit quicker. But Jeff Hysong is the leader.
Whoa, Hysong, hard on the wall. Forsyth in the wall. Big crash.
Caution is out.
Craig Forsyth could not have any worse luck in this series, and that looked like an equipment failure from Jeff Hysong because that car turned just dead hard right, and Craig Forsyth paid the price. We're going to get on board Jeff Hysong and see what we can see. The Indy next race is still under yellow. Wolzelinski still leads at Blocker, still second. Logan Edwards still third. Indy Kirchenbauer is fourth. Watch the wheel from Jeff Hysong. If that thing turns dead right or dead left, we know it's an equipment failure. Here he is down the front straight. Everything looks all good. Stars and stripes. And is it just me, or did the rev lights go out on that thing?
It definitely seems that way. I'm more mystified at how Gary avoided all that. Craig's car got airborne right as Lovern's car was passing by. So what a lucky shot that was for Gary Lovern.
Watch this from Craig Forsyth. We'll get on his roll hoop. I thought maybe it was an equipment failure, but it didn't seem the wheel turned hard one way or another. The rev lights went out though, so it could have still been something with the pedals. But there's Forsyth, and he's going to get his car stuck in the fence. And you wanted to watch Gary Lovern's path through that. Is that?
Yeah, Gary was the car right behind the two of them there.
Well, why don't we take a look at what Gary Lovern saw? This is out of his right eyeball. You see Forsyth, Hysong car in front of Craig Forsyth. Hysong has disconnected from the server. Just dead right, nowhere for Craig to go. Lovern made the move just right there as quickly as he could and managed to avoid the trouble there. And so he'll have the lead. And now we've got split strategies 3 ways, Andrew.
Yeah, so I'll make a couple of comments. So I know Jeff Hysong races in VR, and that looks like a classic VR moment where maybe the lights on the reader went out because the way he kind of swung to the left was almost a panicky kind of, oh my God, like something's happening. And then now he has no idea where he is on the track, and that puts him right up into the wall. So I'm going to guess it's a VR failure. We can confirm that later. But that is textbook right there for what we see with that. As for the pit stop situation, Clemworth was committed to come into the pit lane, and I'm pretty sure that he felt at this part of the race that he was going to drag everyone down with him. But if you watch Larry Yingling, he was following, and then literally at the very last second just said, nope, I'm not coming in, swung back out onto the track, and I think Clemworth's probably a little bit unsure of what strategy he is on. We were mentioning that the fuel safe strategy is fully deployed right now, so Yingling is sticking to it. I think Clemworth probably could have stuck to it as well. So I think that he wanted the new tires, but at the same time, I was mentioning right before that caution that the new tires weren't really moving forward simply because of the lower fuel tanks on the drivers ahead. But you really need to make hay when you have the fresh tires, and Jeff wasn't really the car that was doing that. So let's see what happens on this restart if the lower fuel cars pull away nicer.
You can see it there on the pylon. Yingling, Stouffer, Hobson, Kelly, they've been out 28 laps. Lovern, Greenlee, Irwin, Clinworth, and Irwin are on 13 laps. Everybody behind them has stopped as we head back to green flag action. Larry Yingling leads away, and A.J. Hobson goes right to work on Chris Stouffer down the backstretch, but Stouffer going to hold him off.
Yeah, so Clendy didn't lose too much there. He only dropped to P8, got by Frank Irwin Jr. very quickly there for P7. So he's done what Jeff couldn't do, but at the same time, he has more fuel than the drivers ahead. So it's going to take a little bit to equalize, but this is a time where anybody that has just pit needs to protect their tires a little bit and save the tire life for when you get up to the drivers that are ahead of you that are on even worse tires. So it'll be a slow and methodical climb, but as long as Clemworth continues to find the cleanest air possible, it is a good way for him to get back into the fight again, and I think he will.
Indeed it is. Richie Hearn working on Frank Irwin Jr. He's going to make that pass. Next up on the hit parade for Irwin is going to be Eric Peterson, and Peterson also on those fresh tires. It's worth noting to me that if you look at this front group led by Larry Yingling, everybody can make it on gas. That's not the issue here. The issue is how hard can you run the car and how long you're going to have to spin.
Greenlee is spinning down the front straightaway, and the same way Wagner and Ryan Kelly did, but Greenlee does not hit a thing. Keeps going, no caution.
We'll get back and watch that, but I was about to say, Andrew, it's not so much that you can't make it on fuel. It's going to be how hard can you run the car and how much time can you cut off of your final stop. Yingling, Stouffer, Hobson, Kelly, they're still going to have to take basically full tanks on that last stop, whereas Clinworth, Hearn, and others, they're going to have to take less fuel than the tire stop, and that's going to save them a second or two on pit lane. And there's Brian Greenlee. He gets it locked down just in time, Andrew. So he doesn't hit anything, but he goes back to the 14th spot. Meanwhile, Clinworth continues to set sail. He's got Gary Lovern in front of him, and you can see Lovern. He is a tenth quicker than Gary Lovern the last time through. This time, 18.489 for Clinworth, 18.542 for Lovern. So Clindy and Richie Hearn are catching the cars in front of them. The problem is Larry Yingling has turned up the wick, and he is gone. He's pulled away a second over Chris Stouffer, and Larry Yingling right now a tenth quicker than everybody else on the racetrack.
Of course, even on the older tires, having the cleanest air possible is the best way you can just disappear from the leaders. So Yingling is doing his part right there to get himself way out front. It's always bad when you're on a fuel save / old tire strategy. and not so much a fuel save anymore, obviously, because we've had the caution. But the tire saving strategy doesn't really pay off too well if you're fighting dirty air of the cars in front. So Yingling's in the best situation, but AJ Hobson is behind Christopher and still has to kind of guess. Ryan Kelly behind, still has to guess. Gary Lovern is falling back a little bit, so those tires are starting to play into how his car is driving. But this is actually very interesting because typically at Iowa, those tires really, really fall off fast. And it seems like the tires aren't so much of a benefit that we usually see at a track like this. So maybe the pit stop strategy is not as good as the track position.
Well, and here's my other thought. You're going to have kind of a dueling situation here. You're going to have Yingling, Stouffer, Hobson, and Kelly. They're going to be pitting within, I'm going to call it 15 laps or so. Maybe 20. They need to make it to 110, so they need to make it 17 laps at least. They should be able to do that with ease given the amount of caution that they've had. They're going to short pit, Andrew, and when they do, it's going to turn those cars into absolute rocket ships. Meanwhile, Clinworth, Hearn, and those cars, they're going to be going full tilt. The problem is they're going to be on older tires. Gary Lovern very loose off of turn 4. He saves the machine, but that's going to let Kyle Clinworth pull right up on the back of the VRL machine, and Clinworth will move into 5th. So he is on the charge and running the same time as Larry Yingling in the lead. But I was going to say, the cars that are out front now are effectively going to short pit. The cars that stayed out. But then they're going to get short pitted, right? It's going to be interesting. Everybody's going to be on different tires at the end. The big thing for me is Clindy has spotted 4.5 seconds to Larry Yingling, who continues to lead it. Ryan Kelly and AJ Hobson, they are in a fight for third, my friend. Hobson on the high side, Kelly on the bottom, and that's just what Chris Stouffer wants to see as Kelly goes past Hobson. Hobson gets the run on the high side off the corner. Can he make the comeback into turn 1, Andrew?
Yeah, I'm going to poke holes in your last statement there, Murph. It looks like you were mentioning that the drivers of Clemworth and those that pitted just now are going to be on the old tires. And yes, the drivers that will have just come out of pit on lower fuel will be rocket ships. But we have just seen Larry Yingling completely pull away from everyone on old tires. So I don't think that the new tires are necessarily going to ignite these drivers to be such at a higher race pace in order for them to run them down. So I really don't, at this point, I don't know which strategy is going to work, but I wouldn't necessarily discount these top 5 drivers, or now top 4, now that Gary Lovern's out of it, from pulling rabbit out of their hat. I actually think that this strategy may work out for them.
It remains to be seen. We are getting close to that window. Remember, we thought about 50 laps on fuel. We've got 60 laps to go here in the Area 51 IndyCar Series race from Iowa. Right now, Larry Yingling is your leader, and he's got just about 2 seconds in hand over Chris Stouffer. It's another second back to Ryan Kelly, then another second back to AJ Hobson. But Kyle Clinworth is pulling in on AJ Hobson. He's not really gaining anything on Hobson, or he's not really gaining anything on the leader, but he is definitely reeling in on Hobson. Do want to let everybody know that Dylan Wilczynski has won the Indy Next race at Oswego, and so congratulations to him. Top split oval action on the sister stream. Meanwhile, here at Iowa, we're watching to see if Kyle Clinworth can charge through the field and make it into a position where he's able to fight for the lead at the end. The problem is, welcome to Meixsell, the problem is he's losing a little bit of time to Larry Yingling at the front. So the fresh air, the clean air at the front, Andrew, as you said, is proving to be a little bit more powerful than the tires.
One thing that we haven't really talked about so much, and I mean, well, we have talked about it, but not really in such a way that's detrimental, is that this exit of turn 4 is catching so many guys out. I just watched Kyle Brooks get loose and have an amazing save out of turn 4 when he really should have been down in the infield, just like his compatriots that have done so earlier in this race. But that could happen to anyone at any time. We've seen now 4 drivers get loose off turn 4, and a caution really will throw an entirely different strategy at all these drivers. So let's not count that out either.
No, and Ryan Kelly has moved past Chris Stouffer. That's the second spot. Kyle Clinworth has now disposed of A.J. Hobson, and so moved Clindy into 4th, Hobson 5th. Gary Lovern continues to soldier along in 6th. He's got trouble in the form of tires, and Richie Hearn behind him. And now it becomes a matter of when do Yingling and Kelly pit, and you're right. The old tires coming off of turn number 4 have proven to be very, very tricky. If you're Yingling, Kelly, and Stouffer, you know you're going to have to make a pit stop here under the green flag. You do not want to see the yellow come out before Clinworth and the rest of this field are forced to cycle their way through the pit lane. A guy that's very well positioned for that is Gary Lovern. He stopped the yellow after Yingling, Kelly, Stouffer, and Hobson, so Lovern's got 15 more laps in his tank, Andrew. And so, he could be in a situation where, if the yellow flies right for him, he could easily snatch a podium or be in position to win this thing.
I'm sorry, Murph. I'm watching this Gary Lover and Richie Hearn battle, and I mean it's getting very, very scary now out of turn 4. Gary Lover had a moment out of turn 4 last time. Then next lap, Richie Hearn tries the outside line, almost takes the wall down on the exit, which is where I went silent for a second there because I thought we were gonna have another situation of a Nicholas Stockner, but Richie Hearn makes it out of it. Oh, we have our first car coming down. A.J. Hobson's dipped down under the white line. I believe there's a car ahead of him on track also entering the pit lane. That might be Stouffer.
Larry Yingling and Chris Stouffer, A.J. Hobson, all taken to the pit lane here. So is Eric Peterson. So those are the first 4 to blink. Yingling, Stouffer, Hobson, and Peterson. The lead is going to be assumed by this man, Ryan Kelly, and he has got Kyle Clinworth coming. Clindy has now pulled to within 0.7 of a second, and he was half a second quicker than Kelly that last time through. Now Kelly will drop onto the pit lane. That's going to leave Clinworth in the lead, and really, he's really about 2.5 seconds clear of Gary Lovern here. And so Clindy firmly ensconced in that lead. The problem for Clindy is he's got about 15 laps on his tank, and he's going to have to stop. Meanwhile, Lovern, he can probably go another 10 circuits or so, I would imagine, given the amount of yellow he's had.
Yeah, at this point, Lovern's best bet is just to stay out as long as he possibly can and hope that someone gets loose off turn 4 there or has another incident on track where he can pit right along with everyone else. But Kyle Clinworth has assumed the lead because of Gary's unfortunate turn 4 moment there. And, I think at this point, if Gary were to pit, then it's pretty much he's on the wrong side of all the strategies. So he's going to be hoping for a caution here very soon.
Well, he's going to start his 50th lap here as A.J. Hobson unlaps himself from Gary Lovern. Of course, that's the second spot. Lovern just kind of playing out the string. If he can get the yellow, he's going to be sitting pretty here. But Lovern is going to have to stop. And then Clindy, Hearn, Frank Irwin Jr., those cars, Frank Irwin Jr. is still out, by the way. He's on the same strategy as Lovern. So those 2 cars, 2nd and 4th, they're going to need to stop. But Kurt Rose, Gael Brooks, Joseph Morales, those cars are going to be following Clinworth and Hearn, and they've probably got another 10 laps or so in the tank. I would expect Lovern now. He's 51 laps out, so Gary Lovern is going to be coming pretty much any time, Andrew.
And again, we're going to see what the actual pit stop stint will be after he's going to stay out as long as possibly can. There's no use pitting right now if you could stay out there and save a little bit of fuel and catch the yellow at the right time. So run the tank out. You ran your strategy to perfection as best you could.
I do want to point out Larry Yingling last time through 18.412, Ryan Kelly 18.393, Kyle Clinworth 18.660, and so they are losing a couple 0.3 a lap. And there's Clindy. He has caught lap traffic, which is not helping him any. But it is worth noting that those cars are faster as Frank Irwin Jr. is peeled off onto the pit lane, and that tells me we're going to see Gary Lovern anytime. We'll flip back to him. It's worth noting that they are dropping a couple anywhere between 2 and 3/10 of a second per lap to the cars that just stopped. So the new tires are worthy in terms of pace, and now Gary Lovern is going to make his way down on the pit road. It's very difficult to get on the pit lane here because you got to go through turn 3. That is flat. It is greasy, and it is very easy to miss a very abrupt pit entry, but Gary Lovern gets it done, and that's going to move Clinworth back to the lead. Hearn is second. Richie Hearn is 4 seconds in arrears. There he is. Kurt Rose is third. And give a call down to Gael Brooks. He was a lap down earlier in this race. Andrew, he's moved his way back up to 4th. And now those top 5 cars, they desperately want the caution.
Yeah, great shout out there to Gael Brooks, but Kurt Rose even more so. Gael and Kurt have been pretty much right nose to tail since pretty much lap 1.
Well, we've got a car stopped. We've got a car stopped on the inside. Was that Brian Greenlee?
That is Brian Greenlee, yeah.
Now, he overshot it. So this is exactly what I was talking about. We've seen this in top split races here where guys have missed pit road. Watch how abrupt the left is to get on the pit road here. And Brian Greenlee locks the front tires up. The car just goes straight. And now he's in an unfortunate situation. He's got to throw it in reverse, Andrew, to get on the pit lane. No caution there because it's not the racing surface, but that can be harrowing when you see that coming off of a corner.
Yeah, I've been caught out by that myself a few times, Murph. Just trying to that it's like it's a left, like going around the left-hand corner smoothly, and all of a sudden it's an abrupt turn in there. So if you don't catch where the tire barrier is on the entry of the pit lane as you're coming around the wall there, it's very, very easy to do. So no fault. Well, I mean, it is Brian Greenlee's fault, of course, because he carried a little too much speed, but it's definitely something pretty common. We have our leader coming in the pits now.
Yep, Kyle Clinworth, lap 128 of 160 is in the pit lane. That's going to turn the lead over to Richie Hearn. And let's see where Clindy comes out in relation to Larry Yingling. That was the car that he was racing. Now remember, Clindy was 4.5 seconds or thereabouts behind Larry Yingling when Yingling stopped. And so it'll be interesting for us to check that out. Where is the deficit going to be? Clindy up on the jacks. He's going to take 4 new fresh Firestone Firehawks. He'll get the fuel he needs to make 30 laps here. Down and away he goes. And he has come out significantly behind Larry Yingling. Yingling, Clindy going through 3 and 4. Larry Yingling already off of turn number 2. Richie Hearn is your leader, but not for long. He's come to the pit lane, so Richie Hearn is going to make his final stop, and that's going to promote Kurt Rose and Gael Brooks to the lead.
Yeah, I was just checking lap times there right before Richie Hearn pitted, and Clindy was maybe only a tenth or two faster, so it's not like there was a lot of gains there from the Clinworth camp. We had another car get very squirrely off turn 4 there. Frank Irwin Jr. saves it just like Gael Brooks did. So we're a thread away pulled from getting a caution here out of turn 4. Let's hope these guys keep it straight and keep it narrow. Let's finish this thing green.
Gael Brooks has now assumed the lead as Kurt Rose pulls his car on the pit lane, and Gael Brooks has got to be just about bingo on the fuel. He's been out 56 laps. Looks like he's going to go for another, though, Andrew. So Gael Brooks will continue to lead it as he lets Brian Greenlee go. Frank Irwin Jr. is pulling up behind him. But Gael Brooks is just gambling on a yellow here.
And I will shout it out Jim Brooks earlier on in this race, and Gael Brooks is now holding the front spot, I think probably for the first time this season. So it's really, really great to see that. And I'm sure Gael is doing it for Dad there. And really, really great to see him out front.
It is indeed. Gael Brooks will answer the call to the pit lane, and that is going to turn the lead right back over to this man, Larry Yingling. And Yingling enjoys a 3-second advantage over Ryan Kelly. Kelly is under fire from Chris Stouffer and Kyle Clinworth, though. The battle is for second. Yingling has checked out. He's got a couple of seconds, and Clinworth sticks his nose in hard on Chris Stouffer, and he'll make that move, promote Clinworth to third, Stouffer back to fourth, and now Clindy is going to go do battle with Ryan Kelly here.
Yeah, we're really starting to tick down the laps here. We're only 25 laps away from the end, so everyone's strategy is done now. So now it's just a matter of lighting up the tires, getting around the track, and trying to see what last-minute positions you can pick up. But, I mean, Clendy is fast, and he is coming, but Larry Yingling is holding the point right now.
He is, but he's got to get through Ryan Kelly first. Clinworth on the bottom, Kelly on the top. These are the two championship protagonists, by the way. Ryan Kelly does enjoy a 14-point lead over Kyle Clinworth, so he's going to fight for that spot. He is not going to let Clinworth go, and he pinches him down off the bottom, turns 3 and 4, but I think Clindy is going to have the advantage going through 1 and 2, and that's going to be all she wrote. The fresher tires on Kyle Clinworth tell the tale. He's able to go around Ryan Kelly, and now it's going to be, can he catch Larry Yingling? Last time through, Yingling 18.709, Clinworth, or 18.692, excuse me, is the scoreboard updates. Clindy 18.535, so he is coming, and at a 10th of lap, he's got enough time to get there.
Well, you know the big cliche, Murph, don't you? Catching is one thing and passing is another. So once the tires start to equalize, it's going to be extra difficult to make a pass. Now, Yingling did drop through the pack a little bit earlier on in the race, so we got to I think that was Stouffer that got a little bit loose out of turn 2 right there. Yeah, it was Chris Stouffer. Now he's riding up the track, and he's going to lose some time there to Kurt Rose. But, yeah, it's a matter of just holding that position. But if there's clean air, it's going to be very, very difficult to give that up.
It is indeed. Let's jump on board Kyle Clinworth. We'll grab the telemetry, and he sees the prize ahead of him. That is Larry Yingling, and they are in direct contact. It doesn't look... Well, Yingling is, they're not in direct contact. Yingling is 2 cars ahead. I misread my red cars there. I misread
Joseph Morales.
Yeah, I misread my red cars. That is Joseph Morales. But there's Clindy. He continues to pull it in, chops another half a tenth away the last time, or 2/10, excuse me, the last time through. So Clinworth is coming, and you're right.
I think it's difficult to get it done in 1 and 2, and Clendy is kind of entering turn 1 a little bit wider than he wants to, but it's just pushing him up the track when Morales' dirty air hits. So I think Clendy's, in order to dispatch Morales there, he's got to try something a little bit different on the approach to turn 1 to set him up for 3 and 4.
Indeed. Do want to welcome everybody that was watching the Indy Next top split race at Oswego, won by Dylan Wolzinski. So welcome to all of you out there. We are in the last 15 laps of the Area 51 race here at Iowa. It's a race of tires. Larry Yingling has the lead, but he's got a 17-lap tire disadvantage over this man, Kyle Clinworth. Clinworth is catching him another 10th and a half that last time through, and they've only got Wayne Campbell between them now, as Yingling hoping to run out the clock. We've got a car spinning to the inside. That's Richie Hearn. Same kind of a thing. Loose off of turn 4. He actually got a piece of the wall, and Richie Hearn spins across the infield. Does he hit anything? Is he going to be able to keep it out of the inside wall? He is, but Richie Hearn loses a ton of time, and he's now dropped back to the 12th spot. He had been as high as third, really. He would have been the car immediately behind Clinworth, and Clindy now has it under a second. He's got the bit between his teeth. At this rate, Andrew, he's going to catch him with about 5 laps to go here.
Yeah, and we got Larry Yingling had the same issue that Clendy was having with Joseph Morales, not picking the right... Wow, that was an easy pickup for Clendy there. Unfortunately, he's picking the wrong line. He's got Jim Herrick that he's trying to put a lap down here. And unfortunately, actually, I believe Herrick might be coming to the pits this time. So that'll clear out the track in order for Yingling to clean out. And, yeah, now it's going to be mano-y-mano. He's got less than 10 laps to do something, but I think the time is there for him to catch and possibly make that move. But Larry Yingling going for his first win in the series is going to do everything he possibly can to hold him off.
And Larry Yingling's biggest fan right now is Ryan Kelly. Remember, there's a championship at stake here too, and Ryan Kelly does not want to see Kyle Clinworth win this race and pick up maximum points. Pole for Clindy. Yingling has the fastest lap, so that is not a point that Clinworth would get. And that last time through, Larry Yingling was a little bit quicker, so he picks up a 10th on Clinworth as they come to get 7 laps to go. 7/10 of a second, 7 laps to do it.
And you remember about 50, 60 laps ago, Murph, we were talking about the different strategies. These were 2 drivers on completely different strategies. And we were talking about during the last caution that Clendy came in and he was expecting the rest of those drivers that had stayed out on the previous caution to all come down with him. And Yingling last second turned away and decided to go on his own strategy that had to do with a little bit older tires, less fuel, pull away a little bit faster. And you and I both argued both sides of both strategies there. And we didn't really know how it was going to turn out. And, of course, things could be a little bit different when it comes to traffic. But Clendy has managed to pull up a little bit. And this one is probably going to burn Clendy a little bit. If he had just stayed out and done the strategy that Yingling stuck to, it really would have been a whole different story here. So really, really good shout-out to Yingling for that last-minute call. And look where he's at now.
Yeah, and critically for him, 5 other cars stayed out. So he didn't immediately have the new tires lined up behind him. They had to fight through several other cars, and by the time they got through, Larry Yingling had built a huge advantage. Clinworth picks up another 10th that time, but now he's running out of time. 3 laps to go, 6/10 of a second for Larry Yingling. Yingling may be able to do enough to hold off the charge of Kyle Clinworth as we come to get 2 to go. Andrew?
Yeah, I think that it's going to be very, very difficult now for Clendy to make any sort of ground on Yingling because now the tires are old on both cars. But at the same time, so anything can happen here, especially coming through 3 and 4. If you choose the wrong line, you can really lose 2-3 car lengths. But yeah, we're getting the white flag here, and Clendy's just about out of time.
Yep, Barney throws the white flag over Larry Yingling. He's got a half a second over Kyle Clinworth. Now up to 7/10 of a second, nearly as Clendy cannot follow in the tire tracks of that number 67. They'll go through turns 3 and 4. Barney's going to grab the checkered flag. Larry Yingling will come through, and he will score his maiden win in the Area 51 IndyCar Series. Kyle Clinworth is second. Ryan Kelly comes home third. Chris Stouffer is fourth. A.J. Hobson is fifth.
We always love seeing new winners in the series, and they seem to be popping up more and more. We have a lot of the same legacy winners winning every week, but it's always great to see someone try something a little bit different. And a lot of times it doesn't pay off, but in this case for Larry Yingling, it does pay off.
And we'll get to see Larry Yingling do the donuts as he comes home the winner tonight in Area 51 at Iowa. And so it is Larry Yingling. He will win by 0.469 seconds over Kyle Clinworth. Ryan Kelly is third. Chris Stouffer, A.J. Hobson are the remainder of your top 5. They're followed home by Gary Lover and Kyle Brooks. Fine run from Kyle Brooks, by the way. I believe he started last or on that last row with Kurt Rose. Eric Peterson, Frank Irwin Jr. are the remainder of your lead lap. Joseph Morales, 1 lap down in 10th. 11th, it's going to be Richie Hearn. 12th, Kurt Rose. Brian Greenlee, 13th. Wayne Campbell, 14th. Craig Forsyth, after that unfortunate incident with Jeff Heisong, is 15th. Jim Herrick, 16th. Jeff Heisong, Nicholas Wagner, and Matt Wagner are out of the event, 17th, 18th, and 19th. All right, we've got the replays queued up. Do we have any drivers? We'll give Ryan Kelly a chance to kind of cool his heels before we pull him up here. Andrew, fine race tonight, by the way. Always love to see the different strategies these guys can come up with. It's a ton of fun.
I definitely think that was definitely one that we couldn't have predicted turning out the way it did, especially with the new winner and everything. It seemed like Clemworth had stranglehold on the field, but these cautions really come at such inopportune times as drivers, and the split-second decisions really do mean everything.
They do indeed. Let's go ahead and bring Ryan Kelly into the interview room. Ryan Kelly, you've got Murph and you've got Andrew Wood in the P1 broadcasting booth. You got a copy?
I got you.
So you were second for most of the race to Larry Yingling. You get nipped on tires there at the end from Clinworth. Kind of talk us through your race strategy. You stayed out with Yingling when so many others pitted. You guys made the call to stay out. What was the thought process behind the differing strategy there?
Yeah, I was thinking about track position. It was really hard to pass tonight, and with the dirty air, I was thinking about trying to stay as close to the front as I could, and then had that little incident there where I spun and had to go to the back. So yeah, just tried to get to the front with people pitting there, and I think the track position was a little more important than the tires tonight.
Yeah, Ryan, I was curious to know more about this looseness at a turn 4 that everyone, including yourself, managed to get. So, what do you think is the main cause of that? Was it anything having to do with the track transition, with any asphalt to concrete, or was it just a little bit too high on the settings? We saw at least 7 or 8 drivers that got loose there. Some saved it, some didn't. And let's talk a little bit more about how difficult it was to change the in-car tools tonight.
Yeah, it was really hard. I think this was one of the tracks that it seemed like the in-car adjustments had more of an impact than some of the other tracks that we've gone to. I definitely think overshot it a little bit and paid the price there. But yeah, I think that also the transition has an effect. It was just sketchy all night, and whatever settings I was running in the car. So that was definitely where you could make speed or lose it all. And yeah, that was the hard part tonight.
Indeed. Well, you bring it home in the 3rd spot. Congratulations on the run. I believe you should, and I'm going to refresh the screen. You're going to continue. You're going to lose the points lead, but you're going to be eight markers behind Kyle Clinworth here. So you came in 14 up. You're leaving 8 down. Still solidly in the championship fight. Ryan Friends, family sponsor shoutouts. The floor is yours.
Yeah, some family watching tonight. Shout out to them. You guys putting on a great show. Shout out my teammate Larry for winning, and all the guys that put on the league. And looking forward to next week.
Absolutely, Ryan. Well, thank you so much for dropping in and stopping by. Keep going fast and having fun, buddy.
Appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
Absolutely. That is Ryan Kelly. He is your 3rd place driver tonight. For 2nd, we're going to bring in a familiar face. It's Kyle Clinworth. Clindy, you've got Murph and you've got Andrew Wood in the P1 broadcasting booth. So you decide to stop for tires. Everybody else, or a good portion of the front runners, stay out. Normally at Iowa, tires matter a whole lot. Was it a case of clean air beats tires tonight, or did you get stuck a little bit too far back there?
Absolutely. Once they repaved this place with the rescan, clean air is going to beat tires unless you've got more than 9.5 gallons burned. And at that point, we'd only burned like 6. But I was not afraid of the tire fall off or the tire deg. I knew I would stay in the lead as long as I had stayed out, but I was afraid of a caution happening during the yellow flag cycle. And so I wanted to be on the overcut rather than the undercut just to play that safe. So I kind of made my bed knowing that if I finished 2nd or 3rd on pit strategy because I chose to top off on gas and get new tires then, I could live with it. The fact that I even got within half a second of Larry at the end there is really a testament to the quality of this field. Like, everybody knew the assignment. We got through the last cycle green, and the cars that weren't fighting for position immediately were able to roll over and let everyone fight for the win, which was really appreciated.
Yeah, Clendy, nice job tonight, and unfortunate that you had to give up the lead there. But yeah, it's just a strategy call. But we all make these split-second decisions, and unfortunately, it got you tonight. But Mike, I'm a little bit more curious. I didn't really see a lot of passing over in 1 and 2. It seemed like 3 and 4 is really the spot where you can dive up the inside, maybe find some clean air up high, and shoot underneath on the exit of turn 4. Is there anything with this new track configuration, paving, everything with having to do with the new Iowa that maybe makes it a little more difficult to pass on one side of the track or the other, or was it just the conditions out on track tonight?
It's just easier to pass on the front straightaway. The angle of the curve when you come out on the bottom, like you can cut the front stretch, right, which is distance, and then you get the shallow entry into 1 doesn't hurt you as bad, and the shallow exit out of 4 doesn't hurt you as bad. So passing on the bottom of the backstretch is harder because you have less straightaway and it's all compressed. And that shallow exit really hurts you for longer rather than being subsidized by the shorter distance. So they just ruined this place, honestly. It used to have 4 great lanes of racing, and now you get 1. And I
You
really
fell right into
lament,
my trap, Clendy.
yeah,
I
lament
was waiting for you to
anyone.
say that.
Yeah, anyone who thinks that this place is fun or good is not the same opinion I have. I'm not going to say you're wrong, but just it used to be so great, and now it's incredibly mediocre. That just such poor product in my opinion. So I hope the people who run this speedway either repave it all in its entirety or do something to make the top better. I know in real life it's aged a little bit and the top's coming back in, but it just is criminally unfair to have 1.5 usable lanes, and when you have a wake as big as you do on these cars, you only get 1 usable lane, period. So
Echoes my thoughts exactly, Clindy, and thank you so much for stopping by. As always, friends, family, sponsor, shout outs. You get on the podium, you get the mic. Go ahead, my friend.
yeah, first and foremost, shout out to my friend Mason, who couldn't be here tonight because he was out eating Kobe. So, miss you, buddy. Hope to share the track with you again. Thanks, Wood. Thanks, Murphy, for putting on the show. And thanks for letting me hang out and replace you for a couple of races this past weekend, Andrew. I'm glad that you got to take some time away and enjoy your time off. Obviously, thanks to everyone at P1 who puts on the great show. Jacob, Sophie, Gary, LGN, you guys. And, of course, my mom, who cheers me on every week. All my rogue racing teammates and all the teammates in the Alliance, everyone from Satellite and IAR. You guys are all great friends and great allies on the track. And then, of course, thanks to Shane Coker, who puts on the Votive Racing League. We'll be back at Homestead in a couple Sundays' time right here on P1. Can't wait to see you guys there. Thanks so much. Catch you later.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Clindy, for stopping in and stopping by. Keep going fast and having fun, buddy, and we will see you at the next one. That brings us to the man of the hour. It is Larry Yingling. Larry, you've got Murph, you've got Andrew Wood in the P1 broadcasting booth. Can you hear us, my man?
Yes, sir.
By my count, and I am no statistician, I leave that to much smarter minds than me. But I believe this is your first win in the IndyCar series. Is that right?
Yeah, technically, I had won 6 years ago. I believe it was in this series, but it was like such different drivers, and I don't really group that with this, if that makes sense.
No worries. Well, you get that win tonight. Talk to us about the decision to stay out when Clenworth came into the pit stop under the caution. That was the move of the race. You yanked the wheel right, drove the car back onto the banking. You took the lead and never looked back.
Yeah, I'm definitely surprised it worked out. I know before that first long run, I was telling my teammate Ryan, it was like 40 laps in, and we were only like 0.3 or so off our fast time. So I knew tires didn't exactly wear out a ton. And I think when they pitted, it was like 20 something laps into the run, and I don't think all of that was under green. So I figured, well, where we are right now, I can still make it to around 110 and be good from there. I didn't expect to stay in the lead the whole time, because I knew before that Stouffer, he almost passed me, and I know Clensworth and Richie and definitely Ryan, they were faster than me on a longer run. I had different, I guess they're spring settings that first run, because I did not like the pavement transition especially off of 2, so I kind of made my spring softer. But I knew that would take speed off, but I felt more comfortable with that. But once I started falling back to 4th, I moved my stuff up just to see, and it felt better. And I knew that first run, I was right behind Kyle that whole time. I don't know, maybe he was probably saving too, but I felt like if I just had clean air, I can maybe just keep it the whole time.
Yeah, Larry, nice job tonight, and it's good to see a new face in there. I haven't had the chance to talk to you yet, but we have seen you up front in many of the previous races last season and this season. So you pull it off on a short oval. We're going to another short oval next at Richmond. Is a short oval really your bread and butter, or is this just kind of one of those races you really had it hooked up? And are there any further races this season that you're looking forward to?
With these cars, I don't know if they're bread and butter. I guess results-wise, it might be. I'm mainly a NASCAR guy, and I do love Richmond. I've never driven a lap there in the IndyCar, so I'm sure that's way different. I definitely look forward to that. And I think Charlotte is later in the schedule. I did feel pretty good there last time. I was 3rd at one point. Then I got on a wreck lane race. But I love Indianapolis, and not sure what the other tracks are, but yeah, this season's just way better stat-wise than I was doing last season. I was just hoping for top 10s, and I'm starting to get top 5s and pull out a win.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'll say 2 things to you, Larry. Eddie Cheever once quipped that driving an IndyCar at Richmond was just like flying a jet fighter inside of a gymnasium. So that's what you get to look forward to there. These cars are incredibly fun at Richmond, but they are very, very quick. If you're a stock car guy, it's one of those places where you truly notice the difference in speed. The other thing is, do not, whatever you do, wind up like me, Area 51 Season 18 in Indianapolis, because Andrew Wood will be making memes about you. With that said, congratulations on your big win. Friends, family, sponsor, shout outs. You win the race on P1, you get the mic. Go ahead, my man.
Definitely shout out my teammate this race, Ryan Kelly, my sponsor, Port City Cards on Instagram. And this one is definitely for Jim Brooks. He was a great man and will forever be missed. And as always, well, for the first time, shout out to you guys for the broadcast. I love watching them. And I look forward to next week or next race.
Just wait until you try and hear Murph pronounce your name. That's going to be a fun one for you to watch.
We're going to say it. We say it 3 times fast, right?
Yes.
Well, you were definitely fast tonight, Larry. Keep going fast and having fun, buddy. We'll see you at the next one.
Thank you, sir.
Absolutely. That's Larry Yingling. He'll come home the winner tonight. And Andrew, this race, one more time, it's got something for everybody, doesn't it?
Yeah, Iowa is not typically a track I look forward to on the schedule, and now that I put Glendy right in the trap there when I asked my question. Yeah, it definitely has gotten a little bit trickier to race there, and it pretty much raced exactly how I thought it would, but we still saw the differing strategies, which is something that I personally enjoy when I call these races with you, just trying to pick out who exactly is going to come out on top. And I learned something tonight in terms of how the tires are on this new Iowa. I almost said Richmond. And yeah, it definitely has something for everyone, like you mentioned, and it was exciting to watch, and I really didn't know how the strategies were going to shake out. So I always love being surprised when it turns out a way that I wasn't really expecting.
Yeah, in the same way as me, usually Iowa's a tire grinder. You would have never thought that 27-lap-old tires would be able to hold off stickers here. It has never been that way in the past, but with the new scan, I, like you, learned something new tonight, and we'll continue to learn things on P1 tomorrow night. The Horizon IndyCar Series goes at 8 o'clock. They're going to be at Chicagoland, and it'll be a doubleheader with a Formula Super Series at Hockenheim Ring. On Thursday night, it's the AMA Outland Custom Arms Grand National Series. They're going to be at Rockingham. That's an 8:20 pre-race, 8:35 start. Friday night, it's the AMA Archway Industrial Coatings Truck Series from Rockingham as well. A special presentation of the AMA. Andrew, Gary Godso is going to get in the booth for a NASCAR race. How about that?
Oh, I'm going to have to tune in for that one for sure. That's going to be exciting.
You should join him in the booth. You and him and Caleb, you put on a heck of a show. No race Saturday. IIS is off. none of the 3 Sunday series are racing this weekend as well. So a free weekend for all of us at P1. And that brings us to the Monday night top split from Iowa, 8 o'clock. Doubleheader with the Indy Next Road Series from the Algarve circuit at 10 on Tuesday. Excuse me. On Tuesday, it's going to be another doubleheader. It's the IndyCar. It's the IndyCar Fixed Oval Series at 8:15. The 2026 Elite Racing League Indy Light Series presented by PresleySora.com. That's at 7:30 p.m. Then the Indy Oval Race at 8:15. The nightcap is going to be the Indy Next Oval Series top split from Five Flags Speedway. Pensacola Area 51 is off next week. The next Area 51 race is at Richmond, April 14th. 5 races on the schedule. Richmond, then Charlotte, April 28th. The Indianapolis 500K, May the 12th. May 19th at Dover, and we're going to end the series at Gateway on June the 2nd. We do want to thank everybody on the track for that excellent show. We want to thank everybody for every one of the fans in the stands for making this a lot of fun to call, but most of all, Andrew, we want to thank the people that really make it possible. The military, the police, the firemen, the EMTs driving the ambulance, and the nurse that unloads you when you get there, Andrew. From the bottom of our hearts, we thank you all, and we will see you tomorrow night for Horizon and Formula Super Series. Have a great night, everyone.
Strap in, feel the hum in your hands. This is 4D. Heat on my palms, grip locked, heart racing. Shoes hit the pedal, whole room shaking. Jersey on my back, hair pulled low and blazing. Every turn I take, got the ghosts I'm chasing. 4D in my veins, feel that fire when I play, when I move, when I break, when I bang through the lane. 4D on my skin, when I lose, when I win, I'm alive in the light of the game I'm in. 4D, 4D, 4D. It's different. Yeah, that's winning. Grit in my voice, baseline under my breath. Glove print stamped on the wheel like a crest. I don't just play, I live it. Every stitch says get it. From the couch to the checkered, I'm the storm when I wear it. 4D in my veins. Different. It's different. Yeah. 4D racewear. Let them feel you drive. Strap in, feel out.